Alright, plenty of you have asked me to talk about the recently announced Hummer EV, and this is going to be a very opinionated video, okay? So if you just want non-stop hype about the Hummer EV, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give it to you today, but I will say that if we ignore the range and the price, this does look like a pretty epic vehicle. I mean, the fact that all four wheels can turn, you've got that rear wheel steering option, you've got the crab walk feature, you've got cameras all over this thing so that you can see under it, you've got the removable roof, which looks dope, kind of gives it an old Jeep style off-roading technique, huge tires that you can rock, 350 kilowatt fast charging, which is also pretty impressive, a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is massive, and again, we're gonna keep ignoring price for the time being. You've got a fairly futuristic interior, it looks very spacious, it looks like a very massive vehicle with a 5-foot bed in the back, a tailgate that can kind of fold into a stepping area. Seems like for those of you interested in off-roading or even driving through water, the Hummer EV is going to be an epic off-road all-electric vehicle, and the Hummer has not been around for a long time, mainly because they couldn't get it to sell very well, and it may have had something to do with the terrible gas efficiency, and I will say they brought that over from the previous Hummer. So yeah, obviously there's lots of great off-roading features, and I think it's really cool that you have all these different camera angles and Super Cruise. Wow, automatic lane changing. That's amazing. I can't wait to do that in 2022. Oh wait, we're already doing it now in 2020. Okay, so here's kind of my issue with the Hummer EV. I apologize if you're really interested in it and you're really in love with the design and all the cool features. That's great, and I'm happy for you, but frankly, I feel like what the Hummer EV is going for is really not super crucial in the electric vehicle market. You know, we've proven now for the past 8 years that you can make a compelling and usable electric vehicle. People have seen that before, especially when the Model S first came out in 2012. They're like, okay, electric cars can be fast, they can be cool, they can be practical, but now we've kind of gotten tired of that, and now we're more interested in how can electric vehicles get cheap? How can electric vehicles get affordable? Because sure, anyone can make a $100,000 electric vehicle that's pretty cool, but that doesn't mean they're the future. It's just going to be a rich person toy. Sadly, I think the Hummer EV is going to continue being a rich person toy. I guess that's really what it was in the first place. The original Hummers were not that affordable anyway, and we need more EVs of all kinds, so I'm not shaming it away in saying this shouldn't exist. You know, it's fine that GM wants to make, you know, an electric pickup truck, and we need more electric pickup trucks, of course, in the future, because obviously pickup trucks are a huge portion of the US sales, and they're a huge number of the vehicles currently on the road, so I'm all for any company that wants to move towards electric. That's great. It's just, I have a very, very hard time getting excited for a vehicle like this because, in my opinion, it doesn't really change the market that much. I feel like it's not really going to replace a lot of gas cars on the road with electric cars because this is likely not going to be anyone's primary driver, and once we do start getting into range and price, which are two of the biggest deciding factors when anyone is considering switching to go electric, doesn't matter if it's a sedan, pickup truck, SUV, that's the main concern. How much does it cost and how far does it go? And in my opinion, the Hummer EV falls pretty short in both of those very, very crucial areas. For one, the entry-level price is $80,000. That's a whole $10,000 more than the top-tier Cybertruck, and that $80,000 Hummer only goes 250 miles per charge. Definitely not great if you consider Tesla's worst range electric vehicle they currently sell goes 263 miles, so 13 miles farther, and I know it's probably easy to make that comparison because the Model 3 is a sedan and not a giant pickup truck, and it takes a lot more energy to move a truck like that. Sure, I get it, but I would say for the pickup truck owner, someone who's used to hauling things around or going off-road and kind of being rigorous and tough on your vehicle, you would probably want more range than that, right? Especially at $80,000, when for $10,000 cheaper, of course, we're looking in Cybertruck territory going over 500 miles. Tesla has a very consistent track record of over-delivering on range than what they originally promised, so obviously, yes, I'm a bit of a Tesla fanboy here, and you may hate the design of the Cybertruck, but I must admit, even if you hate the design of the Cybertruck and you love the design of the Hummer EV, it's not a great look if you're charging $80,000 for any vehicle that just goes 250 miles, especially if this vehicle is not coming out until 2024. That's right, 4 years from now, they're finally going to release that $80,000 Hummer, and everything before that is going to be near six figures or over six figures. So the first vehicle going into production, the Hummer EV Edition one is going into production at the end of next year, and first deliveries should be sometime in 2022. So already from the get-go, it looks like this is going to be a little bit later than vehicles like the Rivian and the Cybertruck. So GM's not going to be early to the pickup truck market either, and that one is starting at a whopping $112,000, and this one, thankfully, can go 350 miles on a charge, which is, better. For daily driving and your average road trip, I think 350 miles is fine, but something tells me people who are using a vehicle like this and taking it off-road and maybe want to tow stuff with it might want a little bit more range, especially if they're dropping over $100,000. Rivian is supposed to be exceeding 400 miles of range on their top-tier model, which will be rocking 4 motors, and sure, theirs will likely be around the $100,000 price market as well, but I think that when you're spending 6 figures on an EV, especially in 2021 and 2022, people are going to come to expect to be breaking the 400-mile EV. They don't want to compromise on range if you're dropping that much on a car, especially by that time next year, we're going to have Plaid Model S going 500 miles at $140,000, and of course, Cybertruck sub $100,000 going 500 miles, so I'm just saying the competition is going to be pretty stiff, and hopefully there's a lot of charge stations at this point that are going to support 350 kilowatt charging, because you're really going to need it with a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. This does not look good for efficiency, because if you're using, twice as many battery packs as the long range Plus Model S, and you're going 50 miles less than that vehicle is, then that means energy efficiency and the cost to charge the Hummer EV is definitely not going to be great compared to other EVs on the market. Though, like I said, I guess the Hummer brand never really cared that much about energy efficiency or miles per gallon equivalent, because this one definitely looks like a very power-hungry motor. And sure, it's fast, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, but interestingly enough, GM did not disclose the towing capacity of the Hummer EV. Maybe because they understand that with range this bad, you probably don't want to be towing around very many things, because your range is going to get cut in half, basically, so probably won't be a good look for the vehicle in itself. And they've got a few other tiers as well. The EV3X is supposed to be coming out in the fall of 2022. This one will only go 300 miles on a charge, but still cost just about $100,000. So again, if we're just comparing range to dollar, it's not great. And then in the springtime of 2023, they're going to launch the EV2X, and that one is going to be around $90,000 with the same amount of range, but a little bit less torque, because this is a dual motor option and not a tri-motor. And then of course that $80,000 EV2 not coming until 2024. So it just feels very, very early to be announcing this type of stuff. And frankly, that's why I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to make a video about this, because GM has confirmed all these shots of the Hummer we're seeing of it driving around, they're all CGI. They're all simulated. They don't even have a working prototype. Looks like GM's Nikola deal is finally paying off, because it looks like the prototype they showed a few YouTubers at the unveiling, that has a wire up from the bottom of the stage, very similar to the Nikola 1 semi-truck, and that is what's powering all of the internal electronics. It's actually not self-powered. They don't have a legitimate prototype to drive people around in yet, which I always find kind of disappointing, and I feel like if you want to unveil a product, announce that you're going to start making it in a couple years, that's one thing, but it's another entirely if you don't even have a prototype and you just have a bunch of CG images that you want to make a cool looking trailer for, and you don't really plan on releasing the base model for another 4 years. That seems pretty out there, and it seems kind of like empty promises. And again, I'm rooting for GM here. I want the Hummer EV to do good, and I want people who enjoy it to get it soon. I just feel like at those price points, we should be getting better ranges than that now, especially as Tesla is advancing battery tech, and they're kind of the standard for EVs these days. So if this is what people are getting accustomed to when spending this kind of money on a vehicle, they should be getting more range than 250 miles, when dropping $80,000, and you should be able to get more than 350 miles when putting a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack in your pickup. So obviously we can go around on personal preferences all day. Some of you may hate the Cybertruck, some of you may love this. Personally, it's not really my style. I think it looks a little standard and a little bit too much like a Hummer, which in my opinion never had that good of a look to them anyway. But of course, to each their own. If you like the design, I'm happy for you. And I'm all for getting more EV competition, and I think the Cybertruck needs some more competition, but more importantly, it needs good competition, because the whole benefit of having competitors and multiple companies entering the market with their own takes on things is that they should be able to push each other, The Hummer EV should push the Cybertruck to be better, and the Cybertruck should push the Hummer EV to be better. And if one of them is just significantly more expensive and coming out later and has significantly worse range, then I don't know. It just feels like basically the Porsche Taycan of the pickup truck market. You know, there are Porsche fans who love the Taycan because it is a great car, but if someone was on the fence about EVs, the Taycan is really not going to change their mind because, once again, expensive and not great range, which has been the running issue with getting people to switch over to electric for years now. And if someone's on the fence about EVs, I don't see the Hummer EV changing that many minds either because range is not great, price is not great. So, once again, kind of a off-roading enthusiast market that might care about dropping six figures on a vehicle like that, but personally, I'm much more excited for vehicles that are trying to hit lower price points and have great range, and I think those could impact the EV space a lot more significantly. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of the GM Hummer EV. Is it awesome? Are you getting one, or are you disappointed? Did you think it would be a lot better? Feel free to let me know. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.